I will say something with my heart. During my last year while writing the book, I start contacting people through LinkedIn, really, and asking for mentorship and for support and opportunities to learn. And I found Ashok, and Ashok became a mentor, a friend, and someone that is for me a role model. And his heart, there. Well, I was planning to talk about your heart. His heart is so big that I believe that nobody else can talk about compassion and kindness and many positive feelings like he can. So, Ashok, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you so much for touching my life in such a positive way.
Well, I thank both of you actually, because this is a continuing opportunity for us to talk about what we're learning in this very complex time, not just in North America, but in the world as well. And I started a clinic called the Empathy Clinic many years ago. And I happen to be a psychiatrist, so don't be too mad at me for saying that or hold it against me. But I'm very interested in how our stories influence who we are as people. And our stories start way before we're born. Our stories start with our foreparents, to be that way. And I think that when I think about my grandparents and their grandparents and me eventually coming into this place, to have my experience as a person, I'm also having the chance to reflect, but also to influence. And I think when we influence, and I think this is what's so beautiful what you're doing, Miriam, when we influence, we have the chance to make the right choices, but also help people share our stories. And when we share stories, it is such a powerful way to help people reflect on how they can amplify and implement maybe a solution for themselves that may not be the same as our own story, but it would be different. And for me, empathy is entering somebody else's story from their perspective. And when we do that, like going to a movie and you come out of the movie and, oh, right, I'm me and I have to go back to my life again. That story that we've experienced can help us leave ourselves for a little period of time and experience somebody else's point of view. Wouldn't it be amazing if we all did that frequently so that we can sense the essence of each other? By sensing the essence of each other, we can become a team. And when we're a team, we're instead of banging into each other, and I always think of that flock of birds at this time of year flying around practicing for their big flight south. They don't bang into each other because they're paying attention to each other directionally. And I think, wouldn't it be amazing humans do that emotionally, socially, spiritually, physically with each other? Wouldn't it be cool? And I think COVID, just to go back to what you were saying earlier, Miriam, has caused us to learn patience from a brand new perspective and hope from a brand new perspective. And hopefully it's re-empathized our culture a little tiny bit. I'll leave it there.
Wow, I feel like a bobblehead, but ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going, yeah, yes, yes. I'm all over this. Ashok doesn't know a lot about my work. It's repetitive behavior cellular regression is a trademarked question and answer sequence that I've perfected and further developed with my business partner, who you meet here in a minute, is a question answer sequence that finds an amnesic memory in early childhood, usually pre-language, where the driver of repetitive behaviors, repetitive thoughts, and stuff like that of adults, something like was studied 100 years ago, and so what you're saying is just resonating, loving it, and Miriam.
Yes, I would like to have your opinion about this because I heard, and it was the first time in my life that I was hearing this concept, right, during COVID, compassion fatigue, empathy fatigue, right? And in many levels and during many situations, what I hear is that became an excuse for some people to act against others or ignore others' needs or to reduce the how patient we are challenging situations, or how much we embrace diversity, etc. Right? It's compassion fatigue. COVID took us to the point that we have compassion or empathy fatigue. First of all, is this a real concept? Is this really the reason why we are acting in this way? And second, if that's the case, how do we fix this? Because we cannot live in compassion fatigue or ignoring the needs of others forever.
Are you directing the question to both of us, or?
Both of us, we can start with you, Ashok, please.
I don't want to be a hog here, but I'm very interested in this question. So when I get in my car and turn it on, the dashboard lights up and it gives me all this information: how much gas I have, how my engine's doing, is there an oil problem. Wouldn't it be cool if human beings had that? If we had a dashboard that could show us how we are doing. And when we talk about empathy and compassion, it is not a give until there's nothing left. You have to have boundaries around your empathy. And when you have boundaries around your empathy, you check your dashboard and say, okay, I'm running a little low on gas. I need to gas up again. And that could be recharging in any way that you choose. I'm a musician, so that's a big thing for me. And once you're recharged, then you can give again. And I always say, that poor guy that comes to the blood bank and says he wants to give blood, but he's been there 3 times that week, he needs to go home and get his blood back. So compassion and kindness and empathy, they're wonderful concepts, but we have to have boundaries. We have to see how much we have to give. And don't forget that we have to have empathy and compassion, kindness for ourselves as well. And that's when we can start to fix that issue of compassion fatigue. I'll leave it there.
Excellent, excellent. Our work with compassion fatigue, when we work with someone with PTSD, for instance, we have also found, that compassion fatigue is obvious in their caregiver spouse, and then we work with that as well. Well, we know that the primary client and the secondary, the spouse caregiver, also create an environment for children to be in that same situation. So we then work with the teenagers to work it through the family, because as you all know, it will perpetrate through the family unit. If it is present, we will mirror what our parents do. And so we work with all of that to stop that and move forward. And that is a great time for me to bring in our next guest. Ashok, thank you so much for hopping in here. We know it's an odd time for you, and you're in between clients, and it was just, I'm so glad that you were able to make it.